listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS students. This episode is going to be very interesting because we're going to look at writing in an academic style, or English for academic purposes, or whatever it's called. Different authors call it different, give it different names. We're going to look at depersonalizing an essay, and we're going to look at 5 techniques to help you depersonalize your essay. Why do we want to depersonalize it? We want to depersonalize the essay so it sounds very academic and basically taking it up to the next level. And we want to write in an academic English style so that we're going to get points for the writing task, obviously. So for writing task 2, you're going to be expected to probably either write a discursive essay or an argumentative essay. You'll be presented a subject and a question, okay? And we'll probably ask you to explore an argument, give your opinion, or offer solutions to a problem. So in this podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to depersonalize the essay so you can provide an impartial view, okay, before giving your personal opinion. So an impartial view is basically saying like it's objective, it's fact, it's not what you personally think, but you're going to try and present it as fact, okay? And then you're going to give your personal opinion. And okay, so firstly, why is it important to depersonalize your essay? Okay, because this will help you develop a convincing argument, a strong argument on a specific point. Okay, and this will also, you can give, sorry, I've got an itch in my throat. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I was saying is that here we've got to give concrete examples and true facts, or at least facts or arguments that seem true. I've said this 1,000 times before. You cannot say stuff like the Caribbean is the coldest place on earth due to recent changes in climate in global warming. But what you could say is the Caribbean is one of the warmest places on earth, and this is only increased due to climate warming. Recent figures from the Global Institute of World Temperatures have shown blah blah blah, because that's reasonable and that's believable. Okay, we're going to go into that in more detail later on. Okay, so during the main part of the essay, your body paragraphs, you're not really offering your point of view, but you're giving information with examples, and then at the end of the essay you give your conclusion with your opinion, okay? And this opinion is based on the argument you built before, and that argument was accurate, you provided clear evidence and a logical reason, okay? So the first way to do this is to develop a clear argument with reason. So technique number 1 is develop an argument with reason, okay? So you cannot sort of like give your opinion on what you feel or guess, okay? So let's have a look at a recent question. Some people say that globalization will lead to a loss of cultural identity. Others think that globalization will result in world peace and harmony. To what extent do you agree with either sentence? So, okay, firstly, here you can develop your essay by defining the keywords and carefully paraphrasing the first paragraph. Okay, so globalization is the way which companies or other groups use to develop global influence on a worldwide scale. While some people believe that the consequences of globalization are unity and peace, others suggest it may result in losing one's cultural identity. It's clear that the positive impacts of globalization far outweigh its drawbacks. Okay, so can you see here in the introduction that there is no personal opinion here? Okay, there's no one-sided opinion saying it's a total disaster or it's a total marvel to civilization. Okay, all it's doing is quite neutral, and it's just saying that there's some positive sides and some bad sides. It's basically a paraphrasing of the introduction. Okay. So let's just look at that again, okay? There's an argument with reason here. It's basically just paraphrasing the question, okay? And this is the track that the essay will probably take, okay? And we're going to look at both sides. We're going to do a discursive essay in this one, okay? So there's, like I said before, no personal opinion, and it's just logical arguments looking at both sides, okay? And what we're going to do, what we're going to do here is, it's just like your topic sentences, just rephrasing the introduction. And here in this example, we didn't totally change the vocabulary. We've used words from the question. If we wanted to get a higher score, we could probably say, instead of losing one's cultural identity, which was in the question, we could say using the loss. No, we've used that in the question. We could use a different verb instead of lose, or the disappearance of traditional customs. Okay? Can you see that instead of saying losing one's cultural identity, we can say the disappearance of traditional customs. Okay, so that's basically technique number one. We're going to develop the argument with reason. So technique number two, we're going to give concrete facts. So the body of the essay will present the argument for and against globalization. Okay, so as each point is presented, we're going to give specific facts to support those points. Okay, so let me just show you an example. So body paragraph 1. Some people argue that globalization fosters the disappearance of one's local culture. You see, here we've used more vocabulary to avoid even more repetition. For example, McDonald's fast food company has become a restaurant landmark worldwide, including in the country of Senegal, West Africa. As more McDonald's restaurants chains established in Dakar, Senegal, people of the local country enjoy eating fast food in this restaurant, in addition to their own local cuisine. However, there is no data that suggests that the local food or drink of Senegal is disappearing. The local cuisine is still very much a part of the people's culture. So this paragraph gives a very focused example. It refers to a specific company, McDonald's, and a specific country, Senegal. So in this way, we've avoided giving a subjective viewpoint. Okay, what we've done is based it on facts, objective facts that support your argument. Okay, now later for technique number 5, I'll share a technique to help you come up with the ideas and to help you present the arguments, because you might be saying now, wow, I don't know anything about Senegal. Let me give you
how am
an
I supposed to
example.
think of
Okay,
an
we're going
example,
to use the passive voice,
like
and we're expressing
Senegal
a
and-
fact.
or McDonald's
If
in
you've got
Senegal
a pen and
in the
paper
exam,
out,
you'd probably want
that's
to
a
write
very
this down
common problem,
and then see
and
if you
a very
can
smart
underline
question,
and
identify
near the end
and
of the
put
podcast
lines
will the
deal with
passive
that.
voice. So here we go.
Okay.
Recent
So
studies
technique
have shown
number 3
that globalization
is
has
to
helped
use
in improving
passive
education worldwide.
voice.
For example, millions of dollars have been invested by the Bill Gates Foundation in educating young people in technology and medicine in countries in Central Africa. So here, what we're doing in this text, okay, I'll just tell you which was the passive there. The passive was recent studies have shown, okay, and the next part was millions of dollars have been invested by the Bill Gates Foundation. And the active voice there would be the Bill Gates Foundation has invested millions of dollars in educating young people. So in that extract, in that text, okay, in the other part of the sentence, the extract, the start, the first 4 words were in the passive. Recent studies have shown, okay. So what we're doing here in that text, we are offering a fact, okay, we're explaining a fact of the positive impact of globalization. We're doing it in the passive voice. You do not hear anything about my personal point of view, okay? These are facts, and we've demonstrated and proved those facts with an example. The example is a fact, and that information will help me support a clear argument, okay? Later in the essay, in the conclusion, for example, I could say, let's see, the money invested in Africa is clearly beneficial for the country, and this is one of the many benefits globalization brings. Now there I've gone and I have introduced my voice and my personal opinion, because we're concluding, but if you compare it to the extract I gave you a few seconds ago, I'm not saying whether it's positive or negative, I'm just clearly and in a very neutral way explaining one fact, and I used the passive voice there to do it. Okay, so technique number 4. This is probably a good technique to use for checking your essays. Okay, so we don't use I or we avoid the subject pronouns. Okay, and we avoid the I, we, he or she, and you can even extend this to my. For example, if you're given an example, my friend or whatever, or in my village or in my town, that's another example of the personal pronouns, the personal possessive pronouns in that case. So we need to be aware if we're using them, okay? And what we're going to do is try and transform them, okay? So maybe when we're presenting opinions and conclusions, we might say, therefore I am clearly in favor of globalization. Okay, can you see we've used I am clearly? Wouldn't it be better to say it is clear that globalization presents numerous benefits for the receiving country? Yeah, or it can be safely assumed that the advantages of globalization outnumber the drawbacks. And you see that? Good. It's a very useful technique to possess and to develop and to utilize in your essays. Now, the final technique number 5, is very brief. It's very easy. I'd recommend you practicing it because it's a very quick way to come up with ideas, to give your essays sort of like a stronger argument. And
I've talked about this before, and I'll just briefly mention it because it fits in with this topic perfectly. And what I'm going to share with you is how to transform your examples. So maybe, like we said before, if you want to give an example of something related to globalization, and all you can think about is maybe how your best friend in your village lost their job, okay? And just even in that sentence, I used 3 different personal pronouns. Your best friend lost their job in your village, or in your town, your city, your country, whatever. And what I see as well in a lot of essays is students, and they might write, in my country, in Brazil, for example, students are expected to travel abroad, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And this is very common because of course, you're writing an essay from your own mind, so you're going to use examples from your own personal experience. And even the exam question sometimes, I wouldn't say tricks, but kind of encourages you to do this. But you don't want to do it. What you need to do is still present your example from your personal experience, but present it in an academic way. And so how do we do this? So let's go back to the example of my best friend in my village lost their job, or lost her job. Okay? What we're going to transform it to is, we're going to say, for example, due to globalization, factories were recently closed in Brazil due to so I'd say due to globalization, factories were closed in Brazil and unfortunately thousands of people lost their job. Can you see? And it's a white lie. It's a small lie, and that's okay, but it's believable, and it sounds a million times better than talking about your best friend. Okay? I won't go into it in more detail because there's a whole podcast about it, but I just wanted to remind you of that technique. So if you wanted to use an example about your country, you say, in my country, pineapple leaves are used in my mother's kitchen, in my grandma's furniture, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So what could we say? We could say, take for example, Panama, where many leaves and resources from the forest are used in everyday situations. Take for example the banana leaf, which is used in numerous houses across Panama to increase the comfortableness of furniture. Okay, this is just an example, but what I wanted to show you, just a hypothetical example, but what I wanted to show you is just how to transform it. Okay, now this whole podcast was all about depersonalizing your essay, and we looked at 5 different techniques. And in the sentence guide, sentenceguide.com, there's not only do we look at depersonalizing essays, but we look at the structures, we look at fast ways of getting ideas. There's lots of different techniques you can use, and in the sentence guide we give you sort of like the best techniques, we give you the instruction, and we also correct your essays, which is fundamental, because even though you've got all this feedback and even though you've got all this knowledge and this tutoring and stuff like that, the best way to use it, or the best way to learn it, is to actually use it and then get feedback. Okay, get feedback, get your essay corrected. Right then, that's everything from me. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and have a fantastic day, and good luck in your exam. And if you want any more help, you've got a few options. You can either go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up to the newsletter where you get more tutorials and more help. But if you are serious about passing, you might want to look at sentenceguide.com there's my online course, and you can, it's basically just a step-by-step system to help you get the band score you need. Okay, all the best and good luck.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.